I've probably spent years, if not decades, trying to sell things that nobody wants to buy. And maturity certainly is high on that list of things that I'm trying to sell and that people are not necessarily looking to buy. And the there's really two steps in this and understanding why it is that maturity is not such a big sell. The first step is I looked up in just the general world, and AI helped me ask the question, why do I want to be more mature? And the answers that I got look like to avoid embarrassment, avoid self-sabotaging impulses, avoid appearing babyish, the regret, loss of respect, that if I became more mature, I would handle conflicts more calmly, I would make better decisions, I would walk away from pointless drama and toxic situations, I would have healthier relationships, less stress in daily life, better choices, better ways to respond to tough situations. So that's what's out there already for an answer to the question of why do I want to be more mature? And those all sound very good and quite important. What I find remarkable is that the people who are selling maturity for these reasons don't have an easy time doing it. That essentially, people who are selling maturity are doing a lot of crisis management. They are helping people get through tough situations. And that's I don't know if it's the motivation, but that's the sell. The sell is, do you really want to get involved in such a toxic relationship or a toxic situation? Maybe you could mature and not handle it in such a childish way. And I think that most people don't really buy in to maturing because deep down they really wish that the other person would change or the situation would change. Deep down, most people want to live a comfortable life without actually having to change. They want the situation to get better, but they don't want to actually change. And so it's a tough sell when you're trying to get somebody to think about change, even if the motivation is what the secular world has to offer regarding why we should mature. So it would be a tough sell, excuse me, even if I were the one who was advocating crisis management um, as the reason for maturing. But it turns out that that's not the reason to mature. Although I think those are all good things, but there is an orientation of maturity, which is referred to as chokhmah, which is directly tied in with Yira Shamayim. So, in fact, the pasuk tells us, "Reishis chokhmah, Yiras Hashem," that the more we internalize the message that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Chacham, is the Av, is the Zokain, is the one who sees the whole picture. He is absolutely appropriate. The more we internalize that understanding of the Ribono Shel Olam, the more we are called on to try to be like HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So in the sense of mahu af ata, just as he is, so should you strive to be. So we should try to expand our recognition of the complexity of any given situation. And the more we can appreciate the complexity of the situation, the more we take those factors into account, the more we are being like the Ribono Shel Olam. Now, we never get to being absolutely like the Ribono Shel Olam because he knows the situation in its absolute entirety, with all of the history behind it and all of the future in front of it. So we never become exactly like, but that's always our role. Regarding HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the process of dveikus, the process of coming closer and clinging to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is coming closer to his midos and to his orientation. It never means having that orientation, because that orientation is always exclusively for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And so the real reason that becoming more mature, becoming more of a chacham, an av, a zaken, is crucially important, and why we should want it is because it is a key aspect of being davek in HaKadosh Baruch Hu and v'halachta bidrachav, of being like HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So if it's hard enough to sell maturity when it's really crisis management and helping the person get through tough situations, living a less stressful life, if they're more mature, which you would think that would sell well, but it's not a great sales product. It doesn't draw huge masses. Most people, as I said, would rather the situation change than that they should have to change themselves. But on top of that, we have to put in the fact that we're really looking for dveikus and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And frankly, how many people are looking for that? And so we have a predictably challenging sales job in selling the concept of being a zaken, of being a chacham, of being an av. It requires almost setting aside all of the wonderful benefits associated with being more mature and aiming at being more transcendent, more like HaKadosh Baruch Hu, more v'halachta bidrachav, more taking the larger picture into account to the extent that we are able to, and to always be striving in that direction. Meaning we never get there, but the success of the dveikus has to do with the degree to which we are striving in that direction. So I just wanted to put it out there that what it is that we're trying to promote is not predictably a mass movement. It is more predictably individuals who will get this idea that there is a benefit, a profound benefit, to becoming a zoken, a chacham, an av, that relates to our ability to connect with and to emulate HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And if we think of it not as a movement, we won't wait necessarily for the email. I've often said that I would love to be just on the email list of all of those people in the world who are working on becoming a zoken and a chacham and an av. I'd love to be on that email list and come to their annual conclave where they meet and maybe have some contribution, maybe not, but I would love to be there. But that's not necessarily the reality. And the reality is that it's going to be individuals. And the individuals who catch this message and who are able to think about becoming and working towards becoming a zaken and a chacham and an av, clearly they will recognize that their understanding of HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to precede that in the concept of Reishis Chachma, Yiras Hashem.